It's the comic book bullies.
Man, you come right out of a comic book.
It's the comic book bullies.
You will bow down before me!
It's the comic book bullies.
Now I am the master.
It's the comic book bullies. It's the comic book bullies.
Welcome back to the Comic Book Bullies. We're Nerds New Bully. I'm your host Leroy, aka the podcast with no pants. That joke works a lot better when we're in video. With my co-hosts.
Yeah, this is Eli, and I'm wearing pants as well.
Come on,
I am wearing pants.
We're supposed to be the No Pants podcast. We're starting the trend, like on Harold and Kumar. All right, so yeah, we're back with another episode, and I don't know what number we're on right now. Eli, we're getting pretty close to 150.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're on. We need to do something big, some kind of big blowout, something like that. I don't know what we're gonna do. We'll talk. We'll figure it out. We might call a clip to a fish fry. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, this is another long weekend. What is this? April? May? What are we in?
It's May.
It's May. Okay. Long week in May going on right now. I haven't seen Eli in like 4 or 5 weeks, even though we recorded last week, but it just seems like it ain't been 4 or 5 weeks. But we're back again. And in that time, it's been just a lot of crazy shit that has just happened. People are dying that's never died before. Yeah.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah. It's weird. First off, I mean, like I said, we're gonna talk about Little Richard.
No.
Let's break down all the people that did die. First off, we had Andre Harrell who died. If you don't know who Andre Harrell is, he's pretty much the first black millionaire record executive that pretty much brought in like every black artist you can think of that's still making money today. Little Richard passed. Siegfried or Roy passed. Roy passed.
Oh.
From coronavirus.
Yeah.
He got eaten by a tiger.
And survived that.
But died by corona. What the? Wow. Okay. That's how crazy the shit is. Okay. That. Oh, and one that hurt me. I don't know if you know who this is. Eli, I was gonna say Betty Wright passed.
No, I don't think so.
Betty Wright is a R&B singer, but she's more on the B side, the blues side than the rhythm side. So she's like a soul singer, no pain, no gain, clean up woman, all something like that. Like if you're from Mississippi, she's just as big as everybody else you can think of. Because if you go to a family reunion, all you're gonna hear is Betty Wright. But here's the thing,
Okay.
Eli. Guess who was trending on Twitter? Betty White.
She's still alive, right?
She's still alive. She's immortal. She would outlive us. Yeah. So people were just upset, like, oh, thank goodness Betty White's still alive. Well, fuck, Betty Wright's dead. Shit, we're upset about that. So I don't know. So I was sitting there listening to Betty Wright music all day. It's gonna be a sad thing for that one. So you want to break down the list? So let's cover. I know we just ran through because there was so many people, but let's go back to this Little Richard thing. How deep do you want to get with the Little Richard, Eli?
I this one hurts. I mean, shit. He's the father of rock and roll. I mean, what the hell?
Not Elvis.
Yeah.
Little Richard. I think that's as far as we need to go with that, but yeah.
Yeah. I was almost I already got banned from Facebook already, but I was going to, just to stir up the pot, I was going to post the video of Pat Boone, white boy Pat Boone from the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
He covered Tutti Frutti.
Yeah,
to make it more
because Little Richard couldn't get his
accessible.
music played on the radio.
Yeah, so they wouldn't play Little Richard's original version. So they got Pat Boone, white ass Pat Boone, to cover Little Richard, and then that got on the radio and TV and shit.
Right.
But if you watch him do it, it sucks. It's really bad. And I almost posted that yesterday, and just a comic, just like the musical version of what happened to American history or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, white folks fucking up shit, ruining shit.
I mean, like I said, rock and roll was invented by black people. Now rock and roll is not even associated with black people anymore. So.
Yeah.
Like I said, but it's one of those
pretty
things.
much invented.
Not only that, but you can also say that Little Richard invented the androgynous style for music artists. Like
Yeah.
Liberace, David Bowie,
Elton John.
Elton John, Prince.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
The DNA is all right there. To be extra flamboyant, to be extra entertaining, be an entertainer.
Yeah. And Jimi Hendrix used to play with his band back before Jimi Hendrix got big.
Right.
Jimi Hendrix, who I think I equate to the guy who invented heavy metal, who developed a style that would plant the seeds for heavy metal.
I think you wrote a paper on that.
I remember talking about that, like, last year or whatever. But yeah, I mean, just the seeds that Little Richard planted and the influence that he gave modern music,
Yeah. So rest in peace to Little Richard. Rest in peace to Betty Wright. Not White, like I said, she's immortal. She's Ra's al Ghul. Rest in peace to Andre Harrell. Rest in peace to Roy. Because damn, Corona, you got to be eaten by a tiger and you survived it. That's weird shit, man. Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day, Eli.
It is.
Yeah. So shout out to all the mothers. Guess what was trending since it's Mother's Day? Guess what was trending #1 on Twitter? I thought MILFs.
Oh, yeah, that's understandable.
It was funny because I'm sitting here looking at all the, like I know like the really hot women on my Facebook page, posting their hot mothers, and I'm like, okay, so you're just gonna be just hot just forever. Okay, I see that going now. So yeah, shout out to Mother's Day, to the MILFs, everything like that. Some of you mothers like
that.
Wow.
That makes sense since modern day porn is all about stepmoms and shit.
I guess so. I guess
really weird to me.
Yeah, now moms are gonna get an OnlyFans page. I guess that's what's going on now. That's the world we're headed for now.
Yeah.
Oh man, what else we gotta talk about? Eli, before I get into anything you want to talk about real quick.
It was Star Wars week for me. We had May the 4th. So 4th. I did what you said you would do, and I watched all, not in one day, but I watched all movies.
Well, see, now you can't do it in one day. Like back in my day, you could do it in one day. But now they got some 9 movies. You're not going to watch 9 movies all at one time, especially if you count the spinoffs.
Yeah, and I watched Solo and Rogue One too. I watched all that shit like throughout the week. I celebrated May the 4th, then Revenge of the 6th, then The Force Awakens. Is that how it goes?
That's a new thing. Like I said, the movies are new, so I've never heard that term before.
So yeah, I watched a bunch of Star Wars shit all week, and then on Friday night I watched the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan live streamed the movie Shaolin versus Wu-Tang with a live.
That's what you were doing.
Commentary.
Okay,
yeah. I watched that, and that was really cool. So then yesterday and today, throughout the weekend, Amazon Prime got a shit ton of old school kung fu flicks. Kung fu flicks.
Say it 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Peter Piper picked up pepper.
Kung fu movies. I won't say flicks. But yeah, so I watched a bunch of kung fu movies last couple days, and so that was really cool hearing RZA talk about the influences of Wu-Tang and with the movies, and that was one of the movies that had all the samples from the album on that he used.
Tiger style.
Yeah, Shaolin shadowboxing, but just hearing them talk about like how kung fu movies like influenced hip hop, how the martial arts, watching those movies and those the fighters in those movies had to train, and he says that was like with hip hop, you had to be disciplined and develop your style, develop your art, so you could be better than the next MC or better than the next breakdance.
Because it was a competition. Like, I'm the better rapper than this guy down the street,
Yeah, with all that shit, graffiti, all that. Like, they had to develop their style. And kung fu was like a pivotal part in hip hop culture, the starting of hip hop culture. So it was cool, like hearing RZA talk about that shit. So, yeah.
That's the thing. So, yeah. All right. So, since you talked about Star Wars, I got to talk about this crazy ass movie that I saw, this cartoon that I saw. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Justice League Dark Apokolips War. Eli, have you seen it?
No.
Okay. It's insane. It's nuts. I will say this. Okay. Like I said, this is kind of a podcast, so a lot of you are wondering like, oh, well, I've read Dark Side War. It doesn't really matter. it has nothing to do with Darkseid War. Like the actual comic that it's adapted from, it doesn't. That is only thing that really boils down to it is that they invade Apokolips. That's it. After that, they completely veer in completely different directions. You're wondering why this movie is called Justice League Dark. You know, even though it's about the Justice League, if you watch the movie, you'll know why they call it Justice League Dark. This is the last movie in this, continuity universe. It's about like 15 movies in 7 years. This last movie, and it's definitively the last movie in this continuity. So they're done with that. They're moving on to something else. Easily the bloodiest and goriest movie they've made so far. Eli, I think you might even be impressed by the gore in this. And you're not impressed by anything. But yeah, they really go there. I'm just like, oh wow, okay. Darkseid is not fucking around in this movie. So yeah, it's there. They earn a hard R, even a few F bombs and S's in there. Trying to think what I say. Yeah, honestly, to me, this is the best movie that they've made in this continuity of movies that they've made. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. I think it's the best movie they've made. A great send off to it. I'm just glad it was the longest movie they had in it, so they had a chance to wrap up every storyline, because all the storylines in all 15 of their movies that was left still open, they close them out here. It's all wrapped up, I will say this, that the main character of the movie is Constantine, so that's one reason why it may be called Justice League Dark. But when you see it, you kind of understand where it's coming from, But
so it is like Constantine and Swamp Thing and that Justice League Dark.
I don't want to. That's the thing. I don't want to say anything about the movie. Like, just in case if anybody hasn't seen it yet, I don't want to say anything. It's really just like this is DC's Endgame. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
So you can't say anything, because anything you say is a spoiler. Like the first 5 minutes of this movie, I was watching like, oh shit, what the fuck just happened? 10 minutes, like, what the fuck? Are they really going there? So like I said, this is the last movie in there. They don't give a shit. That's all I can say.
Is it on DCU or no?
Not on DCU. I went again and got it on iTunes. The DCU has this thing where they can't put a movie on there until 90 days out. So right. Yeah, but it's there. I think I'm gonna spoil something on there, because I gotta say this. Okay. So people are gonna say, if people watch this movie, they're gonna say, oh, DC is ripping off Endgame. They're gonna say, oh, it's just like Endgame. I've seen this before. Actually, they're not ripping off Endgame. Here's what I think they're doing, Eli, and I've actually said this on the podcast before, so I'm gonna say it again. This movie, in my opinion, is what the Snyder, like Justice League cut or whatever. That's what it is. Matter of fact, I think they took the unused plot of part 2 and part 3 of what those movies were supposed to be and made this movie. Okay. Because I broke down.
Yeah, you said that before.
I said that before, and I thought that a lot of what I'm seeing here is weird. And when I watched the movie, I'm like, oh, that's exactly what they did. So since I read those read those Snyder notes of, like I said, he made Justice League 1. They changed the ending because his original version was supposed to lead into a part 2 and a part 3. So this movie is basically part 2 and part 3 slapped together, like in one movie. It's a few differences, and you can see that the differences they made from his version are like blatantly to not like completely rip them off. Like, okay, so instead of they did this, they did that. But other than that, they pretty much just made the Snyder cut.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, interesting. So since they can't make a Snyder movie because he's gone somewhere, let's just make that movie and just do this. But at the same time, it fits in the continuity of what they've been doing, so it doesn't feel like it's just out of place. It's like I said, it completely clears up all the plot lines they had before. Meanwhile, adapting a storyline that they're never going to use anyway for this universe, because like I said, this whole universe is based off the New 52. New 52 ended in 2015. So there's really no reason to keep this continuity of movies going, because DC in the comics era has gone on to other shit. So maybe they want to try that. Maybe they want to bring in, Jonathan Kent's Superboy. They can't do that in this universe.
Damn, it's already been 5 years, huh? That's holy shit.
No, it's been 5 years since New 52 ended.
Yeah.
It started in 2011.
And Rebirth, but I'm telling you, because like Rebirth was just like, it feels like Rebirth just happened like a couple of years ago. But
yeah, Rebirth is they're on right. Rebirth is on its way out.
It's over, yeah.
Yeah, it's over. They're on 5G or whatever the fuck they're on now right now. So they're moving on. So there's no reason to keep this on when they don't even these characters don't like it anymore. So That's my
Yeah.
thing. Like I said, 5 out of 5. I'm trying to not spoil as much as point to. I'm pretty sure the Snyder points that I'm talking about, like the part 2 and part 3 we're talking about, nobody knows what I'm talking about. I'm the only one that deep dived into that shit. So if you don't know, watch this movie. Just watch it. I can't say anything about it. I may say something about it next week or the week after next week, but as of right now, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody because I want you to just be as shocked as I was when I saw it. So, yeah.
So do people have to like watch like all 15 movies?
Not all 15 movies. Not all 15 movies. Honestly, if you just know a general idea of these characters, you can catch on. You know what's going on. You know Superman. You know.
I don't have to read like or watch like Throne of Atlantis or fucking what else was in there? Attack on Arkham part of that? Or
no, not Attack on Arkham is not part of that, but there was a Suicide Squad movie that was a part of it called Hell to Pay or something.
Oh yeah,
Redemption,
like son of what about Son of Batman or whatever? Was that?
Yeah, that's the thing because they make references to all those movies, but I'm trying to see, do you need to know those movies to watch it? I don't think you have to know the references. Like I said, if you know that Batman's newest Robin is his son, you're good. You're okay.
Okay.
They don't deep dive. Everything they do is pretty much surface level, but there are like little plot lines that were wrapped up that, even when the movie starts, they'll be like, oh, remember when such happened in such movie? Okay, we're doing that. So I don't think you have to watch. I think the 3 movies you need to watch are Justice League War, like the very first one. You need to watch that one to see what's going on.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
maybe the Death of Superman and Reign of Superman because that's like a direct continuation of those movies.
Okay.
And if you watch that, you're good. Everything else is cool as long as you're familiar with that stuff. Cool, but it's not a requirement. It's just like Endgame. You didn't have to watch all 23 of those movies to know what the fuck was going on in Endgame. It's cool if you did, but you didn't have to. As long as you got an Infinity.
You could probably skip the Ant-Man movies, right?
Yeah, fuck those Ant-Man movies. I mean, as long as you watch like the main Avengers movies and you just watch Civil War and you watch Infinity War, for the most part, you're good.
Yeah. Spider-Man, maybe? Yeah.
Nah. You really don't. You can completely skip Spider-Man. You'll be fine. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. So definitely watch that movie. It's good. Video game news. What should I talk about? Video game news. The Last of Us dropped a new trailer. I think I talked about this last week. The new trailer they dropped, they completely deleted comments from it. And it won't even let you like and dislike the comments on it because of the controversies going on with the Last of Us right now. Like I said, if you don't know what's going on, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to say anything about it. But people are pissed. People are talking about boycotting the game. So we'll see how the numbers do on the game when it comes out. They got a release date. I think the game comes out next month. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what those numbers will do. I only have a PS4, so I can't.
No.
I might have
I never even finished the first game. So.
Oh, I did. I finished it twice. Here's the funny thing about it. Like Last of Us, the first game, 10s out of 10s. 11 out of 11s, whatever the fuck. Everybody just praised this game to high heaven, said it was the greatest thing. Like God delivered this game down to your PlayStation for you to play stuff like that. But now, people have played it since then. Now you got people shitting on the game. Some people say, oh, I'm not shitting on the game because of the controversy or whatever. I just thought it was a shit game. Why are you saying that now? Why didn't you say that back when they were like throwing Game of the Year awards at the left and right? Why are you being, I guess people just love to be contrarians, I guess. That's my thing. If everybody's saying left, I'm gonna say it right. If the sky is blue, I'm gonna say it's green. So
everyone wants to be that person that thinks they know everything.
Right, but if everybody wants to be that person, it just kind of become tedious. You're just following the crowd.
Yeah, like I like that shit before I was even born. Yeah,
right. So
I knew that was gonna suck.
Like I just wish people would have their own opinion about things instead of just following the crowd. If you don't like Last of Us, that's fine, but don't praise the shit or be quiet about it and then shit on the game. 5 years later after it came out, just because it's the cool and popular thing to do.
Yeah.
All I gotta say. Like I said, video game news. I bought a bunch of movies. What have I? Ford v Ferrari.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen it. Gonna watch it.
Watched it yet?
Hadn't seen it. Gonna watch it. I've been wanting to see this movie in the theaters for the longest, but I couldn't picture myself watching the theaters. I'm like, nobody, like the planet's not being destroyed in it, and no surround sound. Why should I go see it? I just wait till it come on home theater.
Don't you want to hear the vroom or whatever.
You know what? Now that you say that, now that I think about it, that probably would have sounded cool.
Yeah, I bet you those. I mean, yeah, those big race car scenes would have probably been pretty cool on the big screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie I've always wanted to see because it's based off a real story. I've actually followed this story before, so I want to see how it played out in real life. I'm pretty sure it's nothing like it was in real life, but hey, man, dang it.
I'm sure that it's not going to have like Fast and the Furious style like action where they're like, you know, jumping
might.
cars,
They got
jumping
it.
cars off of skyscrapers and landing on boats and shit.
Hey, they gotta put butts in the seats. If that's what sells, let's do it. Why is Vin Diesel in this movie?
Oh, I got to open my beer. Let me get in my car.
Oh man, so that's it. All right. That being said, can we jump in? Can we just jump into it?
Yeah.
All right. Like I said, we got a dense one right here. We got a book of the week for you. We're just gonna just deep dive into it and just kind of go from there. So let me pull up my graphic. Boom. There we go. Okay.
Ooh, look at that.
Look at that. We have special effects now on this show. We have upped our budget. All right. So the book we're going to do now, the book of the week we're doing is called Kingdom Come. For those who don't know what this book is about, let's go back to our beautiful mugs. There we go. Okay. So for those that don't know what this book is, it is a Elseworld book. You don't know what an Elseworld book? An Elseworld book is a book that doesn't have anything to do with the actual continuity of the actual stories like DC. So it's not a main continuity. This is an outside book that they're just telling, felt like telling. The background of this whole concept of the story is actually Alex Ross. Alex Ross is this painter. If you follow comics, you know who Alex Ross is. Alex Ross is the guy. Any one of the Immortal Hulk books out right now, he does all the cover arts for those books. Kingdom Come is when he just started breaking into the industry. He actually did some shit he just got known for covers at first, in the 90s. Then he did a book over in Marvel called Marvels. I think the book was called Marvels, yeah. Then he decided to bring the idea. So the whole Kingdom Come idea is pretty much his pitch. But DC was like, okay, yeah, it's your pitch. You can write it, but we need to get you with a writer. We need to get a guy. So they had Mark Wade over there at the time. Mark Wade was doing Flash, and he was like doing crazy. Read his Flash run. His Flash run is amazing. It's by Wally West, and Wally West was way cooler than anything Barry has ever done in the comics. So they put Mark Wade in because he had like deep dive information about DC. So we're going to put you with this guy who's a walking encyclopedia, and you're going to make this book for us. So the book is about this. All the heroes are old, and they come back. Some people say this also might be a ripoff of an unused script from Alan Moore, because a lot of this book does feel Alan Moore-ish.
Yes.
It's like they're trying to make their own version of Watchmen. Alan Moore had a book called Twilight of the Superheroes, but like I said, he fell out with DC because they didn't pay him for Watchmen or something, or didn't pay him for Swamp Thing, or whatever the reason, he fell out with them back in the 80s. So that script was floating around.
Put a curse on them.
Basically, yeah. Which stands to this day. So Alan Moore wrote that script back in the 80s about basically like the end of the DC universe. Like, this is how the DC universe is going to end. This is what's going to happen. And a lot of the story points that he had in that story kind of show up in, not just in Kingdom Come, actually like a lot of stories. There's a whole list of stories that kind of bring up the Twilight and the superheroes, but that's the point of it. So yeah, I think we just need to just jump into this bad boy, Eli, because after we talk about it, then I want to break it down and see what's going on with it. So, first of the book, I got notes.
Yeah.
So the book actually opens up. I can't remember what happened first. Oh yeah, so the book opens up. The very first panel, and I wish I had the panel right here, but that's okay. We'll come back to it. It opens up with a.
I got the fucking
boom.
Can you see that?
See, Eli, you're gonna get us outed. I'm not outed, but
you can barely see it.
No, I can see, no, it's comes clear as hell. Okay, so that is a bat and an eagle, a giant bat and an eagle in the sky, flying, fighting each other. Now, Eli, the reason I'm saying you're gonna get us banned from like the comic community because you pulled up the digital copy of the book.
Oh, damn! Okay.
You didn't use the sacred text. All right, but anyway, you got a giant bat and you got a giant eagle fighting each other, and while they're fighting each other in the sky, down at the bottom, you just see just all kind of chaos and carnage and just this war going on with just everybody destroying each other. And it's also a passage. Now, here's the thing: This you're gonna see at the beginning of it's 4 books in Kingdom Come, and each 4 books you're gonna get a passage from the Book of Revelation. And I'm gonna go a little bit deeper in it also. So the Book of Revelation, the first book we get is from Revelation 16:18, and the story goes, and there were voices and thunders and lightning, and there was a great earthquake, such as not since man. Oh, that's the wrong quote. That's the wrong quote. Not that one. That one. He'll pull it up. Anyway, here's the thing. The book is the easiest way to say what Kingdom Come is. It's the Book of Revelation translated to superheroes. That's what the book is. I mean, just if you just boil it down to it, because the Book of Revelation is so, can I say convoluted about the Bible? I think we can say that.
Sure.
Okay. The Book of Revelation is very convoluted, very left up to interpretation.
The Bible is very convoluted.
but the Book of Revelation in specifically is very left up to interpretation, very convoluted, and you can pretty much interpret it however you want to. So what they do is that they just take out these key characters and just stick superheroes in there. So what we're talking about, giant bat, giant eagle, fighting each other in the sky. Down at the bottom, you got a war going on that's just destroying the earth. And it's a Book of Revelation quote being quoted. And it's all being a dream by Wesley Dodds. He's in a retirement home. He's in the bed, sick. He's on his deathbed right now. He's being looked over by a nurse and his pastor. Now, if you don't know who Wesley Dodds is, if you're not up on your DC lore, Wesley Dodds is the Golden Age original Sandman. Now, who is a Sandman? Sandman is a Golden Age superhero back in the 40s, 30s, whatever like that. And he was part of the Justice Society of America. What was his powers? His powers was he had dreams of in the futures about evil people about to do evil shit. So he knew what they were about to do before they did it. And he had a gas gun to knock people out. You know, put them to sleep. Sandman, that's how I earned his name. So basically his dreams, and it was always retcon, like you may say the Sandman sounds familiar because there was another Sandman created by Neil Gaiman, whatever. Yeah. Also called the God of Dreams. And basically what they were saying is that Sandman gave the other Sandman those dreams about the future, stuff like that. It's all convoluted connected. But anyway, that's what happens. And he's just quoting the Book of Revelation just over and over and over again. He just said, everything I'm saying, and he's telling his pastor this. His pastor is Pastor McKay, Norman McKay. He's telling him, everything that's happening is about to come true. I'm telling you right now. And everybody's just saying, he's just raving and trying to calm him down. The nurse is trying to hold him down, stuff like that. He's like, Norman, be my witness. Be one of my 2 witnesses to know what's coming forward, you know. And Norman's trying to calm him down. He's just like reading his last passage. The reason he's reading the last passage is because Wesley Dodds about to die. And before Norman McKay can even finish the scripture, Wesley Dodds passed away. You know, we cut back to him. They bury him. He has a funeral. Norman goes back to his own pathway, stuff like that. And that's it. Meanwhile, while he's doing that, those same crazy ass visions that Wesley Dodds used to have, now Norman McKay is having those same visions also. So he's thinking he's going crazy and stuff like that. He didn't know what the hell is going on. While he's just going to get, some coffee and a drink out of some store. What was Planet Krypton? He goes to eat at a restaurant called Planet Krypton, which is just memorabilia of old superheroes that people have forgotten about. He didn't even remember these guys anymore. Like Green Arrow, what the fuck is a Green Arrow? He eats that, but when he comes out of the Planet Krypton after he gets something to eat, the superheroes of today, like all the kids and all the future heroes, the second generation of the heroes that we know, they're just in the middle of the street fighting. Because the thing is, what they do now is that, like the old heroes back in the day, they didn't kill. These heroes kill. They don't give a shit. They just kill anybody. So since they killed all their heroes, since they killed all their villains, they're bored. So they just fight each other. Just in the middle of the street. They do not care about any destruction they cause, carnage. It's Man of Steel, basically. Just destroying shit. But they stopped fighting for one reason. Because on the big teleprompter on the screen, and every single TV gets interrupted because a news report interrupts that something happened in Kansas. What happened in Kansas? We don't know yet, but they stopped fighting. Then the next day, we see Norman McCray in church, and his congregation is packed because, like I said, anytime there's a tragedy that happens, the church gets packed because people want answers. People want to be reassured. But since he can't give them reassurance, he's getting all these visions about basically Armageddon or the end of days coming. All he can do is just quote the Revelation verses. and he freaks his own congregation out. So he realizes that I can't help my congregation the way I need to because I'm just, man, my mind is too, occupied with death and destruction, and they want to hear, stuff about hope. I can't give them anything. So he just sitting in his his pew, just ripping pages of the Bible, thinking to himself like, I don't know what to do. While he's doing that, the specter walks into the church.
Yeah, people like walk out of his church. Like
people walk because they don't.
The
They don't
congregation just leave.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear, death and destruction. You get tired of hearing this stuff, especially when you see it on the news all day,
Yeah.
So while he's sitting in his pew, in the seat in the church, the specter walks through one of the tainted windows, stuff like that, just walks through it, and he's like, Norman McKay, I've been looking for you. You're like, are you an angel? And the specter like, no. Well, yeah, kinda. Okay, yeah, I'm an angel, he was like, okay, so why are you here? Why is an angel from God? Because he basically specter saying like, I was sent from God to talk to you. And the reason I can't talk to you because you were friends with Wesley Dodd, the Sandman. He passed over his superpower to you because them dreams you're having, you're not crazy. It's going to happen. Armageddon is coming. They're like, oh shit. So what needs to happen now? And the specter basically says that you had the dream. I don't know what's supposed to happen now. So what's going to happen? I have to follow you to the end of Armageddon to see exactly what happens because I don't know who to smite. God sent me to smite somebody, but I don't know who to do it because I can't see the future. So once I follow you and we follow this thing all the way through, then I know who to smite and we'll go through this. So until then, you're stuck with me. Let's go. So that's the thing. So they just start hopping from place to place like that. And then they hop what he thinks is the Midwest. And Norman Craze is like, how the hell are we in the Midwest? Didn't some really fucked up shit just happen here? And then they say, don't worry. It's not what you think it is. And you don't have to whisper it because nobody can hear you. Not even this guy right here. And they see this farmer and this farmer just fixing his barn, minding his own business. And Norman Crazy like, do I know this guy? He like inspect like, you might. And then the farmer, when he gets ready to finish his job, he walks to the barn and he picks the tractor up over his head while he walks through the barn. He was like, oh shit, that's Superman. Where the hell is Superman been? We ain't seen Superman in 10 years. He just up and left. Like, well, he's here now. And while there's
in this timeline, the Justice League have disbanded.
Yeah.
And Superman vanished. He hasn't been seen in 10 years. Wonder Woman's gone. Bruce Wayne is going crazy in Gotham with robots and shit. Rules Gotham like an iron fist with an iron fist.
It's a police state. Yep.
Yeah. So the old Justice League are gone. And all you got are these like young, kind of anti-heroes running around fighting each other all the time. Metahumans.
Yeah. If you want to know, the young heroes basically are, we're going to pause for a second. It's an allegory for, if you grew up in the 90s, that's basically what it is. Because you have all these old superheroes like Superman, Batman, goody two-shoes, out of date, out of style heroes. We didn't want those heroes anymore. We wanted 90s heroes. We wanted Cable, Deadpool, Spawn. Even when Wolverine wasn't a 90s hero, let's pretend like he was. We wanted violent, angry heroes that that were aggressive. Lobo. We wanted those heroes. That's what they were selling to us. So since the old heroes saw that that's what we wanted, they left. They're like, if you want these guys, then we have nothing to do with you. You have your new heroes now. So basically, it's a whole allegory for how we have embraced these new heroes that are just reckless and don't stand for anything that the old heroes do. And it's just out of control. So Wonder Woman shows up at his barn also. And she's basically like, Clark, and he like, no comment anymore. I'm not Clark. You're like, okay, Cal, you need to come back. You're like, no, I don't need to come back. You're like, it's bad out there. It's like really bad. You need to see this. And then that's when Clark is like, I don't have to do anything. I'm Superman. I can do whatever I want to do. You're like, well, Superman, you need to come here because this shit is not going to work. So she touches the edge of the barn, and it turns out it's not even a barn. He's in the Fortress of Solitude. He's been in the Fortress of Solitude all the time, and it's just a hologram he just made for himself. So they're not in Kansas, they're in the North Pole.
Yeah, he made like a simulation of his farm, his old farm.
Of the Smallville farm,
Yeah.
So, and basically, Superman's just like, okay, Wonder Woman, to get you the fuck out of here, I would just look at the news, like I haven't looked at it in 10 years just to see what the hell is going on. And then he looks at the news and he sees exactly what happened. Kansas has been destroyed. The entire state wiped off the map. What happened? And Superman knows exactly. He's like, Magog. So that's the guy that they're having a problem right now. So the guy's name is Magog, and with Magog now leads a group called the Justice Battalion. So you got the Justice Society, the Justice League, now you got the Justice Battalion, and it's like 10 of them beating the shit out of Parasite, who's like way past his prime, and they even see on the news that Parasite is actually surrendering. They're like, I give up. Y'all don't have to beat my ass, and they beat his ass anyway. And then he actually gets a good shot on Captain Atom, and he splits Captain Atom in half. But like Captain Atom is a walking nuke, he nukes Kansas. Everybody in Kansas is dead. Not only Kansas dead, Missouri, Iowa, every state nearby.
The Midwest.
The Midwest. The Midwest is gone. So since that's the breadbasket of America, where most of our agriculture comes from, that bankrupts not only America, it bankrupts the world. So our that's how we make. So the whole world economy is just thrown out of whack like that, and that's why one of them is telling you need to come back, because these kids that are call themselves superheroes, they're out of control. But if you come back, you can restore order. If you come back, the Justice League will come back, because when you left, that's when the Justice League left. And Superman's like, they ain't my problem. You can leave now, and you matter of fact go back to Themyscira or whatever. So I'm trying to think what else happened, Eli. What happened after that?
Well, they're just like the Spectre takes Norman all over the place. He shows him flashes in Central City or whatever, patrolling, kind of still patrolling. It shows him where Hawkman is, and like Green Lantern is up in space, doesn't give a shit about Earth.
And keep in mind, this is not Hal Jordan. This is actually Alan Scott, the old Golden Age Green Lantern.
Yeah, and then takes him to Gotham City, where Batman has all these like bat drones kind of ruling the city, RoboCop style. So yeah, it's just he's basically playing Ghost of Christmas Present.
Or Future. Ghost Christmas. Yeah, Present, Future.
Yeah, well,
what do you want to call it? Okay.
Yeah, just taking them all over the Earth, and then he brings them back to Metropolis, and they're on the bridge, and all those heroes are fighting, and they're about to kill. They got like the cable car full of passengers, and like they're about to die, and yeah, they're basically the superheroes or the metahumans are fighting each other, and just with all disregard for human life.
Which also happened in the 90s because everybody like, who would win? Who would win? Let's just have superheroes fight each other. So
yeah, that's what this comic was basically. It was a reaction to the 90s boom of, yes, these cynical anti-heroes. Yeah, Deadpool, Spawn, who just, they weren't really superheroes. They were just badasses that we like to see shoot shit.
Right. They weren't saving people. Yeah. They didn't care about you. They were just killing people and just didn't get like, oh, I see a guard, I'm going to just kill him because he's in my way.
Yeah, with no regard for human life. And the idea of the superhero, the savior, was an outdated idea.
And so, okay, so we got these superheroes fighting. Cable car's about to fall off because they're paying no attention to it whatsoever. And right before it falls into the ocean, that's when Superman pops up. So Superman decided to change his mind and actually show up and start to do shit. Let's get that iconic pose of Kingdom Come. So he's got like the black S, in his S right now, and he's holding like two superheroes that is fighting. He just tells everybody to stop fighting.
Yeah.
So Superman is back. Now we get to the next part. Now we got another Book of Revelation passage, and I got to pull it up this time. So, and I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and another angel came and stood at the altar having a golden censer. And the angel took the censer and filled the fire at the altar, and the seven angels prepared themselves to sound. Now, this is why I want to talk about the Book of Revelation. Eli, can I let you know a little secret?
Sure.
I've read the Book of Revelation backwards and forwards, actually multiple times. Just
this
understand
week?
Yes, this is what I was. You just see what it was about. So,
okay.
The reason I read the Book of Revelation because there's a lot of things, and when I read Kingdom Come years ago, and a lot of this stuff didn't click to me. But since I'm older now and wiser, hopefully, a lot of stuff is clicking me now, because the Book of Revelation is basically about the end of days, and God sends 7 angels to Earth to basically destroy the Earth. Each of them unleash one separate plague on the earth, and it's something different. Famine, and that's what we're talking about, like the breadbasket getting destroyed with Kansas. Famine, so different things happen. And how many members are usually in the Justice League? 7. So that's the thing that's going on. So Superman is amassing this army of Justice League members, and I think what's going on. Yeah, the Justice League is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually he's just like, hold up, there's a missing piece. There's a missing piece of the Justice League. I gotta go talk to him. So
What
yeah,
before you go on, I just want to say I won't show it this time, but that first page of the Justice League flying out through the flames
another iconic page.
of the Statue of Liberty torch,
Yes.
I thought is fucking brilliant.
Also, I want to talk about like the guy they were fighting called Americommando.
Yes.
Yes. Mark Waid actually made notes about that. He was like Americommando, and basically what Americommando's whole thing is that he's America's first. So he doesn't want any immigrants to come into America. So he's at the Statue of Liberty at the harbor where the immigrants are coming, and he's trying to kill all of them. So what Mark Waid was trying to do is like, I want to make Captain America if he was made by Rob Liefeld.
Super patriot.
Yeah, basically, that's what he is. So
And
everybody's to the extreme now.
And that's what I love about this is like, if you're a comic book fan and like everybody, if you see all the metahumans that he put in there, they're referencing like actual characters from comic books.
Right.
There's like, he reminded me of Super Patriot. There's a guy in there that looks like Boba Fett. You know?
Right. And it's just like little quick cut, like they don't go detail to explain it. It's just there, like you catch it. Fine.
Well, yeah, this guy's Boba Fett, who is not a good guy in the Star Wars universe. He's an outlaw. He's a baddie, but he's popular because at the time that's what we like. We like these anti-heroes. It was all about being a badass, not being a good guy.
As long as you look cool, things like that.
Yeah.
All right. So Superman has the Justice League, putting them together, but he's like, there's a missing piece. I got to get my guy. So he goes to Wayne Manor. Wayne Manor has been pretty much destroyed. It's like dilapidated. It's really torn down. The clock that leads to the Batcave, Superman just rips it off the wall. He just goes down there and just like, Bruce, you can't hide from me. I know you're down here. And like, and basically it's Batman down there. Now, Batman is not the Batman you think you see. This is an older Batman, probably in his 70s or 60s, or who knows how old he is. He has a back brace on him. His arms have braces on him. He's pretty much got metal like all over him. So
yeah, he's basically almost like Iron Man. He's got like an Iron Man like
exoskeleton and
like helping him move and shit because he's so old and frail now.
Yeah, and obviously somebody had beat his ass. So Superman is just asking him, Superman is just saying, you can't hide from me, Bruce. And basically Batman says back to him, oh, I'm not trying to hide from you, Clark. And Superman just being like, don't call me that. You're like, okay, Clark. So he keeps saying this shit, being an asshole to him. You're like, what happened? What happened? Yeah, once my identity got exposed, Two-Face and Bane happened. But I'm good.
Yeah.
I got my robots securing the air, stuff like that. Gotham is actually safer than Metropolis ever been. So take that, So they have this back and forth, and basically Superman's like, look, you need to come back to Justice League. I'm reforming the Justice League. You got to come back. We need you. And Bruce is basically telling him like, no, the Justice League coming back is like the worst thing that can happen. These metahumans rule the earth now. Once y'all left and y'all didn't train them how to take over this shit, they rule the earth. So if you come back, you're just gonna create a power struggle. You're gonna make things worse coming back, Clark. So Superman asks him, so you're not coming? Like, damn, for somebody that can hear in Saturn, you don't listen worth the damn. Fuck out of here, They basically tell him that he's got since the metahumans are taking over, the humans are going to fight back and take this thing over. So you punching people with the Justice League is not going to work. But my way, when I got all the humans connected from here to Star City, where I got this network connected, we're going to find a way to take back control and give it back to humanity. I don't need the Justice League in my way. Y'all just going to just fuck shit up, So when Superman leaves, that's when you see like the other like human heroes were back there in the shadows, just listening, just waiting time, like Green Arrow, Black Canary, Blue Beetle, those guys. And some more people too, but that's who was there in the cave at the time. So Superman is just, and the next part, Superman finally like, okay, I'm gonna have to handle these metahumans myself. So the metahumans are all at this bar they all go to where it's just all kind of debauchery and just all kind of, it's basically Sodom and Gomorrah, everything you can think of. They're just doing just all kind of crazy shit back there. Superman just flies in there by himself. Heat visions and laser eyes, all the alcohol in the room. You're like, okay, do I have your attention now? And so, okay, remember Super Friends? Remember Marvin from the Super Friends, like Wendy and Marvin? So, yeah. So Marvin is drunk off his ass, sitting down, talking shit. You're like, man, you don't get your old ass out of here. You know what the S stand for? See now? Get out of here, Pops. We don't follow you. Won't listen to you anymore. So somebody in the room punches the shit out of Marvin, just knocks his ass out. and he says to Superman, I'm sorry, Superman. You continue talking. Superman's like, thank you. Okay. So everybody in the room now, welcome to the Justice League. This is not a request. You are a member of the Justice League now. Anybody that disagrees with that situation, what I just said, we can have another conversation later on. So I'm going to see you bright and early tomorrow. He just left the room. So they're talking about it because they're shocked to see Superman. They didn't know Superman was back, you know. Some of them never even seen Superman before. You know, they basically just like God walking to the room, you know. Mm-hmm. But when he leaves, that's when Green Arrow walks in the room like, okay, let me give a counter proposal. So, like I said, basically Batman and Superman are having their own recruitment drive going on right now. And it just keeps going on. Like I said, time passes on. Superman army gets bigger and bigger. The Justice League just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But the problem is, it's like we said, everybody doesn't agree with what Superman is doing, so they get some pushback. When we mean pushback, the Justice League have to beat their ass. And they either join the Justice League or they, you know, hold them in captivity. And basically Superman's talking to Wonder Woman. Basically, like Wonder Woman's like his right-hand woman, his girl Friday. And he's like, we got to find something to do. We can't. More and more superheroes are rebelling against us. We got to find something to do since they don't want to join us. Like, well, I know something to do. So they go to Apokolips. But the ruler of Apokolips is no longer Darkseid. It's not his son Orion. But Orion looks so much like Darkseid, you can't even tell the difference, you know. And Superman just asked him what happened. He was like, well, when I overthrew Darkseid and kicked his ass out of Apokolips, I tried to free the people. But the thing is, when I freed them, they didn't want to be free. They wanted somebody to rule them. So the moment I tried to free them, they already elected me as emperor. So I had to take over. Otherwise, it was gonna, the whole place was gonna get turned into chaos. And Superman's like, well, damn, well, you can't help me. But then he was like, I tell you what, talk to my stepbrother. He'll give you any advice on how to handle the situation. And of course, Orion's stepbrother is Scott Free, a.k.a. Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle, who make traps to get out of anything, made a trap that nobody can get out of. And he tells Superman, tell you what, I'm going to take this back to Earth with you. Let me and Big Barda come with you, and we'll build this prison for you where all the metahumans that disagree with your plan, we'll put them in there. You know?
Now, you kind of skipped the part. You skipped, well, he went around to like, Arthur and, Aquaman and, kind of went around trying to, recruit other members. But he also went and met with Magog. And that's where you learn.
Did I pass over that?
Yeah. And that's where you learn. That's where you learn why Superman left.
I'll let you take over that part. Okay, you tell us why he left.
Oh, so yeah, he confronts Magog, and he's like, and Magog's like, well, you left, you took off, you couldn't handle it, you wouldn't kill it, the Joker. You find out that the Joker killed Lois Lane
and everybody in the Daily Planet.
Yeah, and you didn't do it, and all you did was just take off, and I had to do what you should have did. And that's why people looked up to me. You basically were a pussy that took off and wouldn't do what needed to be done. And so now everybody embraced me, and I had to take over. I had to take over what you were doing. And now you're going to come back to me now and bitch about how I did it, So, so that, yeah, they kind of have a back and forth. Like you were old news. The whole like your way didn't work, and I had to take over and do what had to be done. And people called me the hero,
Oh, and he also challenged Superman to a fight back then, also 10 years ago.
Oh, like, yeah, and Superman took off. Like, you wouldn't fucking fight me and shit. But then you learn, but then you learn that Magog doesn't want to do this anymore. Like, he's sick of being a hero. Like, he's kind of grown weary of the fucking, of trying to live up to this image of being a hero. That he can't handle being what everybody needs him to be. And he kind of he ends up shooting through Superman.
Who barely moves.
Who barely moves and doesn't do anything. And then it says, we're at war. Like, you got to join a, oh yeah, didn't he have something to do with Kansas? Magog destroyed Kansas.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I already said that part of just Battalion.
Yeah.
So he was actually trying to rebuild Kansas, but he couldn't. He was trying to put a barn back together, but the barn fell apart in his hands. So basically, they were trying to make an allegory that yes, he knows how to destroy, but he doesn't know how to build.
He doesn't know how to create. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm sick of it. I'm done with it. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. So after he blasts Superman just to get his anger out, Superman doesn't do anything. The Justice League don't even do anything. He just surrendered. He like, man, just matter of fact, he actually tells Superman, I think, to kill him.
Yeah, he wants to die.
Yeah, because he was like, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
So so we fast forward to that. They get Mr. Miracle. They get the designs for the prison. They come back to Kansas and they build a prison. They build a prison in like 2 days. No, 2 weeks. It takes 2 weeks for them to build a prison. And to build a prison, every superhero, every metahuman that disagrees with joining the Justice League, they just throw them in there. Now, I also missed another big part also, Eli, the Mankind Liberation Front.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the Mankind Liberation Front because while all this bullshit is going on, there's another piece of the puzzle that we can't talk about yet, and that is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is also a player on this board also. Lex Luthor sees everything that's going on. He saw how Kansas got destroyed. Also, he sees how all crazy the metahumans are acting. So what is Lex Luthor doing? He's actually making sure that help to the people, the survivors of Kansas, don't get help. And he's actually arming some of the metahumans. Why is he doing this? Because he wants the metahumans to get out of control. He wants humanity to turn on them. Because right now he feels like humanity trusts them a little bit too much. Like they don't even have the World Series anymore because they believe in the metahumans so much. So
yeah, and Bruce Wayne is a part.
Oh, before we get there.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Because not only does Lex Luthor, like the Mankind Liberation Front, is basically like the old Legion of Doom. He's got Catwoman there and really there who look exactly, and Alex Ross drew them exactly how Julie Lumar and Frank Gorshin look now.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Vandal Savage is there. Also, there's they have one young member. The young member name is Ibn El Exfasia, some shit like that. I'm gonna be fucking up. Anyway, he's Ra's al Ghul's heir. And his name translates to Son of the Bat. So you can kind of guess who his father is.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, this is what, 8 years before Damian Wayne? So
a decade before Civil War?
A decade of Civil War. But basically this is Batman's son, but they never say it. They never say it in the book. But if you really like to know stuff like that, basically this is Batman's son and Ra's al Ghul's grandson, and he's joining forces with Lex Luthor, and while they're doing it, Lex Luthor just actually getting his haircut the whole time. Yes, I know I need one, but whatever. Lex Luthor getting his haircut the whole time, and they asking him, so Lex Luthor, what is your plan? Oh, don't worry about it. I got a plan coming up like that. But what about Superman? He's back now with Justice League. He like, and he gets pissed, jumping the pair. Fuck Superman. Don't tell me about Superman. Well, anyway, I got a solution for Superman. I have a marvelous solution for Superman. Here's that right. He talks to his barber, and his barber just smiles. You can look at his barber, and it's Shazam. Now, I'm going to say Shazam, even though, like I said, this book is back in the 90s, they call him Captain Marvel. But Captain Marvel is Brie Larson now, and I don't want to, get sued for saying that. So we're going to call him Shazam for the rest of the book. So Shazam is there, and basically Lex Luthor's just like, yeah, that's my whole plan. So how did he get Shazam? Basically, Dr. Savannah, like if you read, I know nobody read the old Shazam comics, but anyway, Shazam fought this old dude named Dr. Savannah. He's basically Lex Luthor before Lex Luthor. Old evil man scientist. He also teamed up with this worm called Mr. Mind. Now they retconned or rebooted some shit like that. They're basically saying like Dr. Savannah just has some evil mind controlling worms that he just used to control people. But whatever. That's what Lex Luthor is doing to control Shazam. He took the worms that Dr. Savannah left behind and he's using that to control Shazam. Meanwhile, brainwash him and keep showing him image over and over again of superhumans killing him over and over again. So now he hates superhumans. Trying to see how.
And Mr. Mind was in the after credit scene in the Shazam movie.
Exactly.
For those who might remember that.
Yeah, who may or may not be in the sequel. We'll know if they have room for that in Black Adam. Okay, so now we're caught up. Oh, now I'm gonna let you talk about who joins the Mankind Liberation Front.
Oh, well, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is there. Bruce Wayne is working with Lex Luthor to help eradicate the Justice League.
Yeah.
Because Bruce Wayne doesn't want to be on the Justice League. And they're like, welcome to Batman. We are teaming up. We are using each other's resources to help destroy the Justice League together. So we got Batman and Lex Luthor on the same team.
Yeah, because basically what's happened is that Batman has these bat robots, these centrals that have pretty much have complete control over Gotham. So
Yeah.
he's giving these designs to Lex Luthor because Lex Luthor had this big, production company to do that. So basically, that's why they're teaming up. Like Batman is going to give his designs to Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor's going to make a army of bat robots that can fight the metahumans, basically.
Yeah.
Not only that, that time we talked about Green Arrow also recruited some of those guys from that bar. They teamed up with Batman. They're standing behind Batman. Batman is like, "Oh, my team is ready. They're ready to strike when I give them the signal." And it's funny. Even Al, the son of the Bat, whatever like that, says that. Are you sure these kids are gonna rise against their parents and fight them? And Batman just looks at him like, "Now you know better than anybody. Kids just waiting to fight their fathers." So that's all what's going on right there. So anyway. They call this prison, this supermax prison for supervillains. They call it the Gulag. I think that's Russian or whatever. Anyway, Mr. Miracle and Big Barda are the wardens there. Also, Captain Comet is there. Also, Captain Comet is an old 1950 hero who's damn near strong as Superman, almost. He keeps everybody in line. Anytime somebody says some shit, he smacks them around, keeps them in line. Superman keeps giving them. They got a hologram Superman that just gives this recording over and over again about how right is right. Wrong is wrong. You got to do this. Life is precious. They're like, man, you're old as fuck. You can't have that same mind frame now in the 90s. These guys are getting more and more ruthless. It's guys like us that took out Ra's al Ghul and the Joker. You guys just let them keep running around doing anything. So your old outdated days don't work anymore. So basically, they're just getting just riled up. They're just stuck in this confined prison and they're just pissed off, just riled up, stuff like that. So the Justice League are back in the Watchtower. And the Watchtower is actually just a whole Green Lantern construct. That's all it is. Superman is basically like, okay, so everything's finally under control. The bad guys we don't like are in the Gulag. Everybody we do like is a part of the Justice League. And while he's talking, now keep in mind, Norman McKay and Spectre are here the entire time of the book. Almost every panel has them featured in the background, but since they're invisible, nobody can see them.
Yeah. Except
for Wally West. The Flash. Yeah. Because Wally West, and it's weird because they're saying now that since he's so fast that he's pretty much like maybe like every speedster that's ever been all at one time, and he can see every dimensional frequency all together. So he sees Norman McRae. He looks at him. And he grabs him and snatches him out of the Spectre's grasp, whatever like that, and snatches him into the real world with them. It's like, how the fuck this old dude get on the Watchtower?
I have overheard Flash described as a man too fast to be contained for one plane of existence. Apparently, the entire strata of reality are open to him. So settled am I in the role as a spirit, I have forgotten that fact. And that's where Flash grabs Norman McKay. He's like, where the fuck do you come from?
Right. So, like, Power Girl is just about to punch the shit out of him. It's like, okay, this guy about to be a threat. Superman stops her from doing it. He's like, okay, who are you? And, like, Norman McKay is just, like, freaking out. He's just like, he just started quoting, like, scriptures from Book of Revelation to them. They're like, okay, this guy's fucking crazy. And then he finally says, okay, Superman, look, Armageddon is coming. The end of the world is on its way, and I'm warning you that it's coming, and you're the cause of it. And Superman's like, you're warning me. You're 90 years old, and I'm Superman. How are you gonna warn me? Don't worry, I have everything under control. I have Justice League. Armageddon is not on the way. As soon as he says that, Dick Grayson says, the Gulag is under attack. It's fucking going crazy. It's a riot breaking down there, and they just killed Captain Comet. Like, what the fuck? So while Superman's just like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Before he says the thing, Wonder Woman just stops him, interrupts him. Just like, look, get your ass down there. I want everybody in the Justice League go down to the Gulag right now. Do whatever needs to be done to stop these guys from acting crazy. And she doesn't like, and Superman doesn't like the fact that, she undermined him. Now, we need to talk about Wonder Woman for a second. Because actually, Wonder Woman is a bigger piece in this book than what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, Wonder Woman... This whole time, like I said, we know she's an ambassador for peace, stuff like that. She's been kicked out of Themyscira. Because, like I said, when the second gen metahumans started taking over, and the Daily Planet got destroyed and Superman left, the Amazons blamed her for that shit. They were like, you weren't forceful enough to handle a situation like that. Instead of you changing the world changed you.
Yeah, so, you failed to bring world peace, and instead you became like a cruel, basically.
Right. So Wonder Woman is basically trying to do whatever she can to get back into Themyscira, back into Paradise Island. So she realized, okay, since I was too soft last time, I need to be tougher. I need to be harder. And if I show the Amazons what I can do, maybe they'll let me back in. So when Superman starts acting like, basically like a pussy, you're like, no, don't do this, no, don't do this. She's just like, no, we're gonna do this. And then that's when she changes her armor. She changes like from the regular Linda Carter armor to like this golden plated eagle spread. Okay, so you seen Wonder Woman 84, right?
Yeah, the trailer.
The trailer at the end when she's wearing the golden armor with the wings, stuff like that. That's what she's wearing. That armor came from this book. It came from Kingdom Come. So that's why they were calling it the Kingdom Come armor. Now, notice also.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they were calling it that.
Well, I think I just called it that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So she has on this eagle armor. Now, notice she's wearing a complete eagle armor with eagle wings and an eagle mask like that. Now, let's go back to the very first page of the very first issue. It's a giant bat and a giant eagle fighting each other. Now, a lot of people got it confused thinking that, oh, it's Batman and Superman fighting each other. No. They're symbolizing Batman and Wonder Woman are about to come to blows with each other. So that's the Civil War. If you want to compare Civil War, that's Civil War. This is not a Batman versus Superman book. It's a Batman versus Wonder Woman book. Okay.
Okay.
So while they're saying that, Wonder Woman sends all the Justice League down to the Gulag. Like, get your ass down to the Gulag. Stop them. Do whatever you need to do. Clark, you and I, we need to have a conversation with the UN, United Nations. Like, okay, yeah, because they know about the Gulag, and we might as well have a conversation with them right now. Now, one thing I didn't know about the United Nations building, it looks exactly like the Hall of Justice from Super Friends. I don't know if they renovated it or whatever, but anyway, they go down there and they talk to the Secretary General. Secretary General's name is Wormwood. Now, Eli, it didn't catch me at first, but after going later on, reading the book, Wormwood is a very important name, and I'll come back to it later on. So they talk to Secretary General. The Secretary General is talking to both of them. And like, okay, so y'all telling us y'all got this giant prison full of supervillains or metahumans down in Kansas, which has been, nuked first, and it has a possibility of getting nuked again because you got all these crazy ass people down there now. So I want you guys, Superman, I want you to tell me that it's safe. And woman just looks at Superman, just like, better not say that stupid shit. And Superman's like, well,
yeah, I got that page up right. I'm gonna
show it. If we get banned,
Wonder Woman's face. She's like,
she give that meme. You know the meme when you say some stupid shit like,
where is it? Yeah, she's like, you bet. Yeah.
Like, please don't say any dumb shit right now, man. We're talking to the Secretary General. But he's Superman. So, of course, Superman is going to do the right thing every time, even if it's the dumbest ass thing to do. So he's like, well, yeah, we might have a little hiccup.
Not entirely safe. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah. But don't worry. We can get it under control. Don't worry. We'll get everything. But, yeah, we know they're dangerous. But we got a few hiccups, And the Secretary General like, okay, I'm tired of y'all. Y'all get the fuck out of here. We'll handle the situation on our own. And Wonder Woman is just, and here's the thing, like Wonder Woman is basically like goading Superman this whole time. Like in the entire book, she's like his voice in the back of his head. Because she's trying to tell him, look, Clark or Kal-El, the United Nations are not gonna sit around and wait for us to fix this problem. They're gonna act. They're scared right now. And you need to understand you are the world leader. You are the one that makes the decision. And the faster you learn that, the faster we can get this world back under control. And Superman's like, I can't listen to you. So, yeah, the Gulag gets even more crazy. Wonder Woman goes to the Gulag. Superman is on the watchtower by himself. Like, because everybody's gone. They're just down there fighting. He was like, damn, what the fuck can I do? So, when we get there, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, you jumped Lex Luthor and Bruce.
Yep, we jumped Lex Luthor. Okay, so because the whole thing is Lex Luthor and Bruce have this uneasy alliance. They know they have to work together, stuff like that. And so when Lex Luthor actually has a spy on the inside of the Gulag. Like everything that's going on in there, he has a camera that he can see on the inside of it, so he knows when the shit is going crazy. So he knows that the Gulag is out of control. He's like, bam, this is the time we've been waiting for, guys. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna make this situation go even crazy because I know Justice League's gonna go down and stop the Gulag. The Gulag's getting ready to break out anyway, so I'm gonna send Shazam, my boy right here. He's gonna go down to the Gulag, destroy it, and really just have this all-out war go on. Just have all the metahumans just destroy themselves. And Bam is like, that's what I was waiting for. Bam, punches Shazam. Batman punches a god.
Yeah, with his metal armor arms and shit.
Right, because he's Batman.
Yeah. He's old ass Batman.
Old ass Batman punches a god, knocks him the fuck out. But it turns out that it's not Shazam. It's Billy Batson. And everybody was scared of him the whole time. That's why they didn't do anything, because they thought it was Shazam. He was just going to rip people's arms out the whole time. But it turns out it was actually Billy Batson aged up to look like Shazam. So it's just been just a regular ass human the whole time.
Yeah, he's grown up. It's been 10 years. Of course, Billy Batsman's going to be...
Right. So people just assumed, he was Shazam. But not. That's why Batman was able to punch his ass and knock him out,
Yeah.
And Lex Luthor's like, wait, what the hell is going on? You're like, yeah, that's the final piece I was waiting on, Lex. The only reason I even joined up with you because I want to know what you were really planning. I knew Shazam had something to do with what was going on, but I didn't know exactly what was going on. Now you just reveal your whole evil plan. Fuck this whole thing. I was never in business with you to begin with.
And Oliver Queen and all the the Oliver Queen's crew, they all like take out the fucking rest of the committee and shit. And,
right.
Yeah.
Because Batman said, like, my guys behind me, they strike whenever I tell them to strike. And so, one of the guys back there, so Batman, are we ready? Oh, yeah, strike. Go get him. And it's funny because Lex Luthor said, wait a minute, Batman, you fucked me. Like, Lex, you were going to do it to me first. I mean, that's not the point, So, so all the Batman's, metahumans that he collected, they just beat the shit out of the Mankind Liberation Front. Lex Luthor gets away, Blue Beetle catches him. Batman is running after Billy Batson. Now that we know he's not Shazam, he's Billy Batson. So he's running after him, but Billy Batson, he's been brainwashed and got all this crazy schizophrenia, psychosis shit in him. His mind is just all fucked up. Batman's trying to talk him down, like, Billy, calm down. That shit Lex Luthor did to you is not real. You need to get control of your senses. He's running for Batman so fast, he runs into a whole jar of Dr. Sivana's, mind control worms. He looks at him, freaks out, and says, Shazam! And disappears.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, so Batman's like, uh-oh, we're fucked. But they cut everybody except Shazam. He was like, look, take me to the Batcave right now, because he got teleporters and shit with him, so he take to the Batcave. Now, while that's going on, Superman is in the Justice League Watchtower by himself. Wonder Woman has taken the entire Justice League army down to the Gulag to calm them down. She basically like, if y'all don't calm the fuck down, we're going to make you calm down. And Superman's just like, fuck, okay. I need to take care of this shit right now. So he shoots outside the Watchtower, blasts right through a satellite, blasts right through the Batcave, and goes right to Batman. And Batman's like, look, look, Clark, we've had this conversation before. And Superman's like, look, don't give me that same shit you gave me last time. I don't want to hear it. You need to tell me you need to join up with me right now. That army you got with you need to join up with me because Wonder Woman is out of fucking control. She's going to go down there and she's going to start a war, and that war is going to wipe everybody off the planet. That war is not going to stop because the Justice League is too strong and the people in the Gulag are too strong. So if you don't help me, Bruce, we're all fucked. And Bruce is just like, I'm not going to help you. Yeah, maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe the metahumans and the Justice League need to wipe themselves off the planet. Maybe I don't need to do anything. He was like, and that's when Superman like really get pissed. Like, Bruce, if we've never agreed on anything except one thing and one thing alone, we don't believe in taking lives. We believe every life is sacred. So that
was great. That's when I was like, okay, Superman, all right.
He argued Batman. He beat Batman in an argument.
I was like, okay, all right, Superman, all right.
So that's when he got to Batman. He was like, right. So Batman was like, fuck, okay, you won this argument with me. You won this, moral conflict with me. Okay, so I'm gonna help you with one thing. I'm gonna answer one question for you. Answer one answer. So there's a lot. This thing is bigger than you think it is, Clark. There's another player on the board. Lex Luthor has brainwashed Shazam, and he's brainwashed him so crazy that he don't even know who the fuck he is anymore, and he's unleashed him to go to the Gulag. He's going to destroy the Gulag, he's going to free the metahumans, and that's going to be it. And Batman looks around, and realizes he's talking to himself. Superman had already flown off a while ago, so he's just talking to himself. So he looks around, and he says to himself, so that's what that feels like. Which was a line taken from The Dark Knight Rises. When Catwoman does it to him. So that's where they stole the line from. So Superman is flying. Superman is flying faster than he's ever flown before. He's flying so fast, you can't even see. He's just a blur. Just a blue and red blur just flying. But he doesn't make it in time. Right before he gets there, that's when a lightning bolt hit the gulag. They're all free. The metahumans are free, and Wonder Woman is holding Justice League free, and they're just all-out war has started. Superman is trying to stop the war from getting started. Before he can get there, as fast as he's flying, another guy flies by him even faster. And it's Shazam, who knocks his ass down to the ground. And Eli, can you pull up the iconic line and page that they said?
This one?
That's the one. That is the one. What do they say? Armageddon is here? Yeah.
It says, by a single bolt of lightning, Armageddon has arrived.
Bam. And it's not Captain Marvel, I'm sorry, I'm old school. Shazam standing over Superman with this shit-eating grin, and it's just like you've never seen Superman just look like a little bitch, with Shazam just standing over him. It's amazing. Okay, it's one of the most iconic comic panels ever.
It's a little blurry. Yeah, I can't get it to focus, but
we'll fix it in post. That's what they always say. All right, so that's what's going on right now. So basically, so like I said, every issue has started off with Norman McKay having a vision or revelation and quoting a verse from Revelation. But now he don't have to do that because his vision that he's having is happening right now. It's an all-out war between the metahumans that's free from the gulag and the Justice League just going to war right now.
In one of the most beautiful comic panels ever created.
And I think every panel in this, like Alex Ross put his ankles in this book.
This fight. I mean, this panel of Alex Ross's art.
Just everybody's just going nuts. And if you freeze frame it, everybody is a character that has been
blurry.
shown
I can't get
before.
it to focus, but
it's cool.
It's focus, but yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
the superheroes battling with Alex Ross's art.
Just amazing. So Superman is trying to stop the fight from getting even more out of control, but he can't stop the fight because turns out Shazam is just as strong, if maybe not stronger than him. Shazam is just beating the shit out of him. So they actually going back and forth. Superman is trying to talk him down. But while that's going on, Wonder Woman is having a fight with the Gulag, trying to get them under control. She's like, if y'all don't calm down, it's going to get ugly. Before that can happen, Batman and his team flies down. So Batman decided to take Superman's advice. He decided to join the fight also because Superman told him, you got to get into this fight because if you don't, lives will be lost. So basically, Batman tells his team, y'all got to make sure that nobody dies. While he's saying that, Wonder Woman kills a guy. The guy she kills was the same guy. They actually got a backstory on him. He's like a Nazi asshole or some shit. He's the guy that killed Captain Comet. And he was about to kill one of Batman's guys. And Wonder Woman's like, what you want me to do? He was going to kill that guy, so I killed his ass. Fuck it. And Batman's like, see, there you go being a hypocrite again. And Woman's like, who the fuck are you talking to? I am not Superman. She grabs his ass, flies him to the sky, and that's when you get the giant bat versus giant eagle symbol, but realized in actual form with those two fighting each other in the sky. While that's going on, Superman and Captain Marvel, Shazam, whatever you want to call them, they're still fighting each other. Superman is heat vision and shit like that. Like, Billy, get a grip of yourself. We used to be friends. We need you to say something. You got that old dead look in your face right now. Just say something. Let me know that you're still in there. And Shazam's like, oh, you want me to say something? Okay. Shazam! He says it, and a lightning bolt comes down, but it didn't hit him. It hits Superman. Now, one of Superman's weaknesses, if you don't know, is not only kryptonite, it's also magic. So this magic lightning bolt fucks him up. And Shazam is just sitting there laughing. He just keeps saying it over and over again. Shazam, Shazam, Shazam. And every lightning bolt just bam, 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 bam. Just keep hitting Superman over and over and over again. And Superman at this point just like bleeding from his ears, bleeding from his eyes, bleeding from his nose.
His cape is gone. His cape is all burnt up and shit.
Yeah, he's just getting completely just fucked up. And Shazam just sitting there laughing like this shit is over with. And he said, Shazam. And before the lightning bolt can hit him, like we're talking about, like a millisecond of a second or some shit. While the lightning bolt is ready to come down, Superman uses his super speed, grabs Shazam, and the lightning bolt hits them both at the same time. But since it hits them both at the same time, it turns Shazam back into Billy Batson. And that's when Superman puts his hand over his mouth. You're like, you're done talking. This fight is over. While we go back then, let's go back to Batman. Oh, we missed the whole thing.
Yeah, the UN ordered some fucking nukes.
Okay, we gotta talk about this again because this is General Senator General Secretary Wormwood, and I'll tell you who Wormwood, what that name means in a second ago. He orders the nuke. He said, we've been building a metahuman megaton nuke for years to get rid of these guys. As a matter of fact, we've made it so that none of their powers can detect this even coming. Now, one of these nukes will kill everybody. But just to be on the safe side, we're sending 3. You know. And then that's when he salute the Blackhawks. Now, if you don't know who the Blackhawks is, you will, because Steven Spielberg is making a movie about them. You know. That's through the guys who flies the Blackhawks like that. Now, what is General Secretary's Wormwood name means in significance? Here's what the name means. Remember I talked about in the book of Revelation with the 7 angels that came down and released plagues on the earth? Well, the 3rd angel released a star on the earth that destroyed all life, and the star was called Wormwood. Now, you could say it was a star, you could say it was a big ball of fire, whatever you want to call it. The point was that it was called Wormwood, and it destroyed everything. So that's the significance of why it was in there. So you got 3 Black Hawk flying off, and Wonder Woman and Batman are in the sky fighting each other, having this moral conflict, stuff like that. And Batman's basically telling like this overacting you're doing right now, it's not gonna let you back into Paradise Island. And Wonder Woman's like, who are you talking to? And then that's when they see the 3 Black Hawks flights coming, and Batman knows what they are. They know they got 3 nukes coming in to kill everybody because they know. Batman's just like, Wonder Woman, you can either keep fighting me, and you can just let them kill everybody, or we can, you know, save this to metahumans. So Wonder Woman's just like, fuck, let's go. So Wonder Woman takes out 1 plane, Batman takes out the other plane, but there's a 3rd plane left. They don't get the 3rd plane. The 3rd plane drops the nuke. So while Superman down at the bottom has his hand over Billy Batson's mouth, he sees the nuke. You know, he can hear it dropping. He knows this nuke coming, and that's what he's telling Billy, I have maybe like a few seconds to stop this shit. Now, if I let your hand go, if you keep fighting me, we're all gonna die. But if you let me stop this nuke, then we'll live. So what happens next is all on you. So what are you gonna let it do? And he just starts nodding his head, starts crying. That's when Superman just realizes, okay, you're gonna let me do my thing. So he lets his hand off him, and he flies to go get the nuke. As soon as he flies off, Billy Batson says, Shazam. He turns back.
Grabs his foot. He grabs Superman's foot and pulls him down.
Right. He grabs Superman's foot and pulls him down. Now, when he grabs Superman's foot and pulls him down, Superman is able to get his cape. He gets Shazam's cape and pulls it down when he gets slammed to the ground. Shazam grabs the nuke, sheds Shazam 3 times, and the nuke blows up. Kills,
in the sky.
Yeah, in the sky. It's in the sky, but it also kills everybody on the ground also. So Superman is hit with the nuke also. But he wakes up. He's the only person that he sees that's alive. Everybody else is dead. He sees nothing but skeletons and dead bodies of metahumans just literally ground as far as the eye can see. Yeah. He's fucking pissed. More pissed than he's ever. Whenever he gets the red eyes, yeah, you about to show it now. Whenever it's another iconic panel right there. So whenever Superman gets the red eyes, that means he's fucking pissed. Get the fuck out of his way. And he flies off. And like I said, Norman McKay and Spectre are here the whole time. They've never left. They've been the whole time. They see the whole thing play out. And Norman McKay is asking Spectre, where's he going? And Spectre like, where do you think he's going? He's going to the UN. To do what? What do you think he's going to do? The humans just genocide on the metahumans. He's going to get his revenge. Okay, I'm done. Bye. So Spectre's about to leave. And Norman McKay, where the fuck are you going? You can't leave. Like, yeah, I can. We came to see this thing played out. It played out. We're done. Evil is about to be exacted because Superman is going to take his vengeance out on evil. That's what Norman McKay says. Look, if you let Superman do what he's about to do and attack the UN, and you don't do anything about it, and you can stop it, then you are the one committing evil. It's like, oh damn. Well, I didn't think about it that way. He's like, so what do you want me to do? He's like, so Norman McKay like, take me to the UN before Superman gets there. So he goes. So Norman McKay Inspector gets to the UN, but Superman is already there, and Superman is about to bring the entire roof down on the UN. He's about to just kill everybody. He's fucking pissed. And that's when Norman McKay starts talking to him. He was like, Superman, what you're about to do, if you do it, it can't be undone. If you do it, the humans will never forgive you. So the first thing you need to do is forgive yourself. Now, look, you can't. Now, I understand that 10 years ago you left because you left humanity behind because you thought we forsaken you. But when you left humanity behind, you left your humanity behind. And that's why you're acting out, you're lashing out right now because you're not thinking rationally. Before, you knew the difference between right or wrong. But since you're no longer connected to humanity, you don't know the difference anymore. So you need to find a way to come back to humanity. And that's what Superman's just like, oh damn. So he's preaching, he's a pastor.
Yeah.
That's what he do.
Yeah.
So, and while he's saying it, Superman realized that there actually were some survivors from the nuke. Everybody didn't die. Batman was there, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, some other people there. So not everybody died because Green Lantern made a bubble that, protected some of them from the nukes. So he talks to Batman. Batman's just like, well, I mean, they didn't kill everybody. It's still enough super metahumans left to start the whole problem that we had before. So what do? So that's when, the Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, look at the UN, and basically Superman's like, I know what to do. We need to rejoin humanity. So he takes Shazam's cape and he flies it up to all the flags that, the UNs have, and he makes a flag for Shazam. Basically, like, we're going to reintroduce ourselves to humanity also, and we're going to walk hand in hand with humanity. We're not going to be gods. We're not going to rule over them. We're not going to, just fight in the street with them. We're going to walk hand in hand beside them, and we're going to figure this thing out together.
You're going to set an example.
Exactly. Not take over. He's just going to set an example, which what Superman's mission has always been. Superman is back in his own farm, back in the Fortress of Solitude, just with his barn, just mind his own business. Wonder Woman shows up, and she was like, Clark, you forgot something. Like, what I forget? And she opens up a case, and it's his glasses. It's Clark Kent glasses. He put the glasses on. He's like, and here's the thing. Clark Kent is his tether to humanity. So he forsaken the Clark Kent role. He's no longer connected to humanity. So this is his way of connecting back to humanity again and finding himself becoming human. Or at least, thinking that he's human. Yeah. So that's cool. So a year later goes by. Planet Krypton, where we talked before again. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman meet at Planet Krypton just to have just a nice, cool dinner, as friends. And Superman and Wonder Woman said, Bruce, we got something to tell you. And Bruce said, you're pregnant. Like, wait, how do you know that? Because I'm Batman. Well, we got some other news to tell you. We want you to be the Godfather. And that's when he gets shocked. He was like, wait, you want me to be the Godfather? You want me to help raise who's going to eventually be the most powerful being on the planet? Like, yeah, I thought they would get your attention, So they get up after they finish eating, they walk, and they actually see, well, Batman recognizes Norman McKay and the Spectre, but he's not the Spectre anymore. He's like a human form, Jim Corrigan. He recognized them. You know what? I'm gonna keep walking. I'm paying attention to them, and they just all laugh and leave Planet Krypton. But in the back panel, you see this old DC 40s cover that says "Fun Comics." The end. So it's a pretty action-packed story with a whole bunch of allegory going on. But I like how they brought it back because everything was getting 90s and extreme, but they brought it back to these old characters represent the fun that comics should have. Comics can be fun again if you allow it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we've wrapped up the book. That is a lot to cover that we just did in this book, but it's a very dense book. A lot of stuff we want to break down. I didn't get a chance to really break down the Book of Revelation half that I want to, but I will make the connections with the things that happen in Book of Revelations to this. Like I said, when the bomb that went off in Kansas, that was basically one of the 7 plagues where, famine hit. You can say Magog is the Antichrist. Yeah. Yeah, and they even make very overt points to that. Because first off, he has the horns, the pagan, because they want him to be like a pagan god. And it's like the very antithesis of what we're looking at Christianity. Christianity, there's one God that said if you worship a religion with many gods, we're against that. So he has the horns. He has like the golden fleece, like from Greek mythology, like the staff of Horus, So they want to evoke paganism with Magog. So they want you to but everybody follows Magog. We reject Superman. We want to follow Magog, and he leads them to Kansas getting destroyed. That's what the Antichrist was going to do. Also, they wanted Magog to be Cable. I mean, if you look at it, he's got like a missing eye.
He's kind of an amalgam of a bunch of just a representation of the 90s,
right?
The 90s heroes or anti-heroes,
right? Because they weren't heroes; they were anti-heroes back then. But that's what he was. So he was killing people, stuff like that. So that's the allegory right there. What else? Just even the battle at the end, like the Battle of Armageddon. Like you got the Gulag. Basically, in the Battle of Armageddon, like the demons from hell rise to fight the angels. Demons and the angels fight each other. So the Gulag is basically like these guys are in hell. They get loose. Basically, what they're saying is that they rose from hell to fight the angels who were supposed to be the Justice League. So all connect together. I don't know if Spectre has ever been connected as being an angel before, but I thought that was pretty cool there. Damn, I should have took more notes, Eli. Anything you got? What I'm thinking?
Well, I mean, as far as this thing is packed with religious commentary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially Superman being a god.
Yeah, he's Christ. He is the Christ figure.
Yeah, or just superheroes being a god. I mean, Superman is pretty much the very first superhero ever, almost the quintessential idea of what a superhero is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even his name has it. Half of his name is super. So,
right.
But I mean, he embodies the idea of a superhero, the savior, the one that's going to save the day. You know, that sort of transcends God or hope. He's a representation of hope, and hope. Prayer is essentially hope. It's an optimistic attitude that you kind of think, well, everything's going to be okay. You hope things are going to be okay,
Mm-hmm.
and even if they're not, if bad shit's going to happen, then you hope that you can deal with it. And that's essentially what a prayer is. You're asking a higher power that to give you the gall to deal with whatever's happened, that you will be okay. And that's basically what this is. Superman represents hope, that mindset that leads to justice and equality, that optimism of that. Let's make the world can be a better place. The world is worth fighting for. And that is Superman's job. You know, essentially, you know, what all superheroes are supposed to represent. And that's what this comic book was doing. It was a whole reaction to what was going on in the 90s, those cynical 90s where we liked anti-heroes, hard-edged, you know, badasses that broke all the rules, that, you know, were brutal and were violent and, you know, had sex and just, you know, dealt with all that debauchery that, you know, that we would like to have indulged in.
Mm-hmm.
But we lost those principal ideals of what
and then it's something we should
be.
get from our heroes. Those should be villains, you know, that should be doing that stuff.
Yeah, like Deadpool really isn't a superhero. I mean, in the movies, that's his struggle. He's struggling to be righteous. That's why we care about Deadpool in the movies, because that's his story arc. But, you know, in the 90s, we just wanted to watch Deadpool cut off heads.
And the thing was, like, in the 90s, he was an X-Force villain. Yeah. Like, he was a villain, but he became so popular, they changed him. Same thing with Venom. You know, Venom was a villain. They made all these guys heroes back in the day because, they're popular and they're edgy. Let's be edgy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what everything was edgy in the 90s. It was so edgy. The 90s were so edgy that Superman died.
Right.
That's, you know,
and the reason he died was because they feel like that what he represents no longer is sellable in the comics. Like, we can't make any money off this, you know?
Yeah. So that's why, it's so prevalent when he returned. I almost look at this book as like the anti-Watchmen or like Superman return, the Light Knight returns. You know what I mean?
I think we do need to bring up Watchmen in it also, like you were talking about. We need to bring up Watchmen and Dark Knight Return, because when those books were written, books were written in the 80s, and they were when there was a time when the heroes were, you know, looked at as kiddie shit and, you know, outdated, and then now you got this, you know, spin on what it used to be. You got a dark and gritty Batman now. You got this edgy book where everybody's, you know, dark and bleak. And I think the 90s took the wrong lessons from those books.
Yeah.
They took the lessons where, instead of actually having, you know, meaning behind, why are they dark and gritty? And why have they gone to this extreme? The 90s completely missed that shit. So you got, we just want to make money. Don't figure out the meaning behind why they're doing this shit. Just have them dark and gritty. Just do this shit. And it completely became hollow and shallow, and it became meaningless, the shit they were doing.
Yeah. See, Watchmen was basically about how superheroes are useless, they're assholes. Anyone with that much power is going to eventually become corrupt and become an asshole. And there's no need for superheroes.
Right.
Kingdom Come is like the need to have heroes back, the need for that savior, the need for that optimism and that hope to return. And Superman is the embodiment of that hope. And that's what this book gets to. Yeah. It's about the need for classic heroes going back to superhero origins of justice, the ideas of justice and righteousness. You know, that one, I got where I wrote the notes, the right and wrong. There's that one scene where he's talking to that one Americana guy or whatever his name is, the one
American Mando,
asshole. Yeah, he's like, there's right and there's wrong. It's not that complicated, determining which one is which. And the guy's like, oh yeah, well, what about our freedom? Totally like what we have today. Like, what's right and wrong, but let's distract from that argument. And like, I want to still be an asshole and justify being an asshole and ignore the question.
Right.
And that's so much what is going on and how just what happens in the world today. I mean, you have the young versus the old. I mean, Shazam versus Superman. Mm-hmm. That is such a symbolism in itself. Mm-hmm. You have the old guy versus the kid. The young, they're optimistic, they're naive, they're idealistic. They want action, they want it now. And you have Superman, who's old, he's more mature, he's more pragmatic, he's more diplomatic and patient. You have those two worlds sort of collide, those two ideas colliding with each other. These battle of ideas. You have one guy, Superman, who is a super being who's pretending to be human, versus the human who gains superpowers. So you have like yin and yang coming at each other.
Mm-hmm. Opposing forces. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so that's essentially what is going on, is the need for guidance, the need for the old to accept, the Justice League needs to return and set an example for these youngins, teach the kids, teach this new generation how to do it. And Superman at one point left, and that's how this chaos started,
What would happen if Superman wasn't around? Exactly.
Yeah. Everybody lost hope. He was the symbol of hope, that once he left, if the guy who represents hope has none, what does that say for the rest of the world?
Right. Everybody lost hope, right?
The world plunged into chaos after that. And Superman had to realize his humanity to get his hope back. Yeah, that's why it's so cool when Wonder Woman gives him his glasses. This is Clark Kent. This is you're human. You got to remember your human side. You were what Norman McKay actually said something. You're super, but you got to bring the man back. You got to bring the humanity back. You got to remember your humanity. Mm-hmm. And Clark Kent is that humanity.
Right. Even when the UN said, we thought you were gods, and Superman's like, we thought we were too.
Yeah. He had to remember who he was. He had to remember that it's his humanity it's his Superman's humanity that gives him that hope, that life is precious, that his parents died. When Jonathan Kent died of a heart attack or whatever, those natural causes, Superman, this godlike being with all these powers, could not save his dad. That was when he realized that life is precious. Human beings need saving. They need, and
he's not all powerful. He learned two lessons.
That he's not all powerful, and that's what he had to remember, and that's what he remembers in this. And the whole idea of the Justice League coming together at the end, the Trinity being born, that it's not about tyranny. No one person should be in charge. That you have to have a collective of ideas. Yes, Superman, the optimistic, hopeful guy. You have Wonder Woman being pragmatic and the secure. She's the military. She's what will keep the safe. She's the peacekeeper. And then you have Batman, the smart guy, who he's the smart guy. He's the intelligence. So you have the Trinity. All these three coming together to, getting carried away here, but coming together. And sharing the power instead of like dominating, like what Lex Luthor wanted to do.
Right. Lex Luthor talking all this crazy shit, but he really wants to keep power for himself, which is what the Justice League was made for, because they know mankind lived to their own devices. We're going to do, fight against each other, which is what they've always done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So this is like my third or fourth time reading this, and I really enjoyed it this time. I was like, wow, this is probably one of the greatest comics ever written. Yeah. I mean, this is right up there with Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen.
I think it is. I think the only reason we don't put it in a conversation because those books came right around each other, like in the 80s, and this came like 10 years later. But honestly, if you read it, it's right there in the conversation, especially the artwork. The artwork is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's got like, and that's this whole book is about calling back to the classic age of superheroes, the classic mythology of the hero.
Hmm.
I mean, Alex Ross's paintings, they look like Norman Rockwell art. You
Yeah.
know, that old style Americana, you know, it's a throwback to the golden age. You know, the old idea, like I said, the old idea of superheroes being the savior, of representing truth and justice and hope, you know. So yeah, and I remember the first time I read this, I actually had to read this for college. I was taking this college course about like graphic novels and literature, like, you know, archetypes in graphic novels. And I wanted to read A Dark Knight Returns, but they couldn't get it. So they said, we're going to
We didn't
read
have
Kingdom
digital comics back then.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to read Kingdom Come instead. And I remember going, oh man, because this was back in the 90s.
You wanted to read Spawn and people
I, wa-
ripping people's heads off.
I
And...
wanted to read Dark Knight Returns, badass Batman being a total brutal dick, you know?
right.
And I'm like, and I remember reading through Kingdom Come, and I wasn't really into DC. So the first time I read this, I wasn't really familiar with all, you know, with the DC lore. And I remember like, oh, look at this sucks. This is just a bunch of ripoff of old comics.
Right.
Like, look at that panel where what's her face looks like Chun-Li from fucking
Yes,
Street
Chun-Li is
Fighter.
in this book.
Yeah, she's like cooking like Chun-Li. I was like, this is just a bunch of ripoffs. And then my instructor, she was like, well, that's the point.
Right.
That is the point. This book is making those callbacks to all those old heroes, to, you know, because they're a metaphor of what they represent. Like, yeah, because the Krypton Cafe or whatever it's called,
Mm-hmm.
that's fandom. Or Planet Krypton. That's
Right.
the rest. That's fandom. That's us fans fanning out the merchandise, us toys and movie and pop culture and nostalgia. That's what we were into, and that's all that ties into each other. Yeah, the guy that looks like Boba Fett, all those heroes flying around that look like the X-Men. You know, that's what was all. It was all purposely done. It was all representing those comics that fans were into at the time, and kind of commenting on them. And yeah, so yeah,
It's just a great book. Honestly, if you've never read Kingdom Come, please do it. Don't wait for a movie because it's not going to be as good as the book. I know we always say that, oh, the book would never be the movie, would never be good, but there's no way you can adapt this. I think this is the one comic that cannot be adapted.
because it's using comic aesthetics
Right.
to tell a story. The art, like just the art itself, it gives it this like I said, like this Renaissance, you know, quality, you know.
I mean, it's
Like-
just like the book is made specifically for the comic art, for the medium. It's made for the medium.
Yeah,
Like this story can't exist outside of it. I don't see how.
yeah, and just like I said, this book, the story is a statement at what was going on at the time,
Mhm.
and the need for heroes to return, and
Because this is also when the comics industry collapsed also.
yeah,
So you
Yeah.
could say Ragnarok. Yeah, it really was Ragnarok for the comic industry.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is why art hits at a certain point and why it resonates so well with people, because you know it comes out during a perfect time. You know why the Avengers movies and Endgame were so popular, because we needed that. We needed that at that moment. We needed to feel like, you know, we that we needed that optimism in the
Right.
world.
And
So,
here's the thing, like the Avengers hit in 2012 around a time like that. I think one reason it did catch so popular when it hit at the right time, because the 2000 decade
yeah,
was the most defining moment that happened in the 2000 decade. That was 9/11.
yeah,
And 9/11 affected every single piece of our media all the way up until the end of the decade. Like it wasn't just something that happened. We remember it all the way to, so all of our media was depressing, dark, reactionary. And The Dark Knight Returns was a direct reaction to 9/11.
yeah.
So by the time Avengers came out, we were like, okay, yeah, we've done the dark and depressing 9/11. Let's switch it up. Let's have some fun like the Avengers.
And
But,
I remember,
yeah.
I remember that. I remember watching The Dark Knight, and I've said this before. I'm not the biggest fan of The Dark Knight,
Mhm.
but that was the thing. Like everything was getting so dark and dreary, and then here comes the first Iron Man movie, and I was like, wow, that was such a blast. It was so refreshing to see a comic book movie be fun,
Right.
you know, and that's what we needed at that time. We needed that optimism, that fun, everything to be. We wanted to have fun again, essentially.
Right.
You know.
So I mean, like it's up and down, you know. But at the same time, we can talk about this like all these 90 heroes we name, like Spawn. Where the fuck are they? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say they were like flash in the pan. You know, Cable was a thing in the 90s or whatever. But look at Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They're more popular than they ever were.
Yeah.
You know, that's because they're timeless characters. So yes, they may go out of style for a little while, but they'll eventually come back. Meanwhile, you got these characters just made for the moment they're in. Yes, Deadpool is popular now, but Deadpool is nothing like he was back in the 90s. They had to completely reinvent that character to make him popular.
Yeah, they had to give him humanity. They had to make him give a shit.
Right.
You know. I mean, yeah, we liked him because he was an asshole, but he had to. In the movies, he's struggling to not be an asshole, and that's why we care.
Right, and then we gotta wonder whether or not Deadpool will last 80 years. Also,
that is true too. You know, because the 90s got cynical. The 80s duped us.
Right.
80s might be full of glitter and glamour and shit, but it was a hard time. You know,
yeah, I think what happened was that the 90s, the reason everything suffered because there was so much more money in the comics industry right at the time than it was in the 80s. Because the 80s brought all this notoriety and people were banking for it. But then you had the 90s with X-Men making all this money and Death Superman making all this money. And that's what they were making the money. They weren't making the money for the art. They were just making something quick, cheap, get them out and make it shallow. That's why you had all these bullshit heroes that were just killing people, stuff like that. And you got naked chicks behind them with guns and titties and shit because they think that's what we want. But there's no meaning or no, thought process behind it.
There's no substance. Yeah,
there's no substance to it, right?
You know, it's funny because I was watching, like I said, I was watching all these kung fu movies this weekend, and it made me think of Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon when he said, when the kid is, what is this, a demonstration? You need emotional content. You know, if you're just showing off and, look at how cool I look, it doesn't matter. If you have to put yourself, you have to express yourself. You have to have some meaning into what you're doing. And that's essentially what we're talking about.
Exactly. Because that's why we're still talking about this book 30 years later versus some of the other books we're talking about. Because Kingdom Come is a classic. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like going back and reading it this week, I'm like, wow, this is timely. This is
and it's underrated. It doesn't get talked about enough. It needs to be in the same conversation as Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, it brings up the same issues that Civil War bring up, but 10 years earlier.
Right. Which we might need to look at. Civil War is basically a ripoff of this kind of,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I also wrote. I'll actually post it to the Bully page. But a few years ago, Outright Geekery had like a Superman week, and they said write about Superman or do something about Superman. And of course, I wasn't a huge Superman fan, so didn't really read any of the comics. But the only one I did read that I could remember was this one, was Kingdom Come. So I was like, okay, well, I'll write a little thing on Kingdom Come. And so I pulled that up. I'll post it to the site.
Right. And this is also a recommendation. Like if you want to recommend somebody a Superman book, this is the one.
Yeah. I mean, for non-comic book fans, they might not get the little Easter eggs and all the subtlety, but it's still, the themes are there.
Mm-hmm. Because the themes are timeless.
Yeah. I mean, even when, the Shazam shit shows up, I mean, they'll know who Shazam is,
Right. Even if you didn't, you're going to see, even if you've never heard him before, you see somebody knock the shit out of Superman. You'd be like, oh, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Because when I read the book, I didn't know who Shazam was. That was the first time I ever know who Shazam was reading Kingdom Come back then. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy just knock the fuck out of Superman?
Yeah, but I remember, Superman versus Shazam, and of course I didn't give a shit at the time I heard him. I don't fucking care. Fuck all that superhero shit. I was a part of that whole thing.
Right.
I talk about all the time how I gave up on Marvel like in high school. I was like, fuck all this shit. I want titties and guns and monsters and blood.
Because Marvel and DC around in the 90s felt like kiddie shit. That's why we all jumped to Image. That's why some people jumped to Valiant with Bloodshot and shit,
Yeah. I mean, I was a part of that shit.
Dark Horse, Frank Miller with Sin City. That's where we were.
that's where I was at.
Right.
So yeah, going back, so reading it this time, I really enjoyed it this time. I was like glad because I was dreading it. Like I was like, oh shit, because I've been reading so much. I've been so busy lately. I was like, fuck, I got to read Kingdom Come, and it's just like I had to read that for college. So that's what I was thinking of, like having to read that for college, and but actually, I really enjoyed it this time.
Right.
I thought yeah.
So slap a score on it.
This is a 5 out of 5 for me. This is great. This is one of the best comics ever written, I think.
I'm gonna give it 6.5 out of 5.
It's Superman.
Right, Superman. So he gets an extra
shit.
1.5. So yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is one of the greatest comics ever been written. This is the reason why like they've adapted pretty much every DC story they have, and they haven't touched this one because they're scared to touch this one. This is such a masterpiece. They don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
Because they know whatever they do, it won't live up to it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Like, how? Like a movie? I mean, don't animate it because you're not gonna do this art justice.
You're not. It's gonna be a half-ass animation. It's not gonna work.
Especially the way DC does their art animation.
Exactly. It's gonna look like the Killing Joke. Like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, it's gonna look
You
like
butchered the story.
Yeah, it's gonna look like South Park and shit.
Right. Because Alex Ross made this book, so if you don't do Alex Ross justice, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Just
And a movie, I mean, what do you like? How would you bring that? Like, how would you bring that to a film? Just the look of the film. I mean,
but will they even capture the themes of it? That's the thing. It's gonna be just another hollow Zack Snyder type bullshit.
Yeah, because you can you like all the heroes in the background, and that's the thing. In my college course, my instructor, she knew the backstory of everybody in this book, everybody in every panel.
Because we didn't get to it, but in the back of the graphic novel, they give details to all these guys.
Yeah, there's shout outs to every character in this book. Every character is a reference to an old comic book hero that has existed in comics of some kind.
And some of the characters that were invented in this book end up showing up in the DC continuity later on. Like Adam Smasher, the guy that punched Marv in the face, he actually became in the comic. Black Lightning, his daughter Thunder.
Yeah,
she made her first appearance in this book.
Yeah,
she's on Batman's team in the background. So yeah,
and like when Norman McKay goes into the Krypton planet Krypton, the restaurant or whatever, you see like the newsstand, you see like something about the Minutemen. You see what's that book that the under the hood or whatever from the Watchmen? What's his face was writing that? You see like those Gotham Knights, Under the Hood by Hollis Mason, Behind the Mask. You see like references to these little goodies that you pick up on. Yeah.
Masterpiece, man, masterpiece.
Yeah.
That's why we took so long to actually review this book, because we knew it was going to take a lot out of us when we did it.
Yeah.
All right, like I said, if you listen this long, just like, share, subscribe. We have other podcasts. We have This Geeks and Comics. We have Comic Cast. Comic Cast did Secret Wars. I want to see how they did that, because I know Gomer's going to geek out about that one.
That's another good one.
That's another good one.
That's a modern classic.
That's a long one. That's too much work.
But that art too, the art in that book. I mean,
it really is. It really is.
That's like this. That's pretty much up there with this. That's another.
It really is. Like God, Emperor Doom. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. No shit.
Yeah. Get Valiant. Hoodoo TV. Okay, Boomer. 50 other million podcasts. Eli's got 50 million podcasts.
I'm back down to 2 or 3. Yeah, I'm back down to 2 or 3. Yeah, including this one. So I got Geek Sabs and. Because the Clone Wars is done, so that's done, and then I'm doing Riddle of Steel. Yeah.
Okay. And next week, I don't know what we're gonna do next week. We'll sit there and have a conversation about it. Maybe have some of the guys come into it. Because like I said, 150 is on its way, so we'll see what's gonna happen. Until then, we're gonna wrap this up. We did another second video podcast. Gonna go from there, see how it went. Until then, this is Leroy.
This is Eli.
We talk to you guys next week. Same bullet time, same bullet channel.
A clean up woman is a woman. 24 hours a day.